on page 49, he has spoken of our unborn divinity, which slowly emerges from the eternal seed of transient things. But in the meantime, all is still hidden, screened. So to our waking mind's small moment look, a goalless voyage seems our dubious course. This is how it seems, that we come to go, and then we come back again to go back again. It seems to be a kind of a pointless journey. So in this dense field, that is where we start today, in this dense field where nothing is plain or sure, our very being seems to us questionable. So then you have to end up by asking, really, are we here for a purpose? From there you say, are we there at all? Is there something permanent? Because everything seems to be cancelled after a while. And that is where you had the sense of illusion, maya, pointlessness. It's a game. And so the solution used to be withdraw from all this, withdraw from ignorance, withdraw from unconsciousness, withdraw from the world, and enter into a sense of eternity and nirvana and calm. That had been the solution of Shankara, Buddha, Sri Aurobindo speaks of that. Because it does seem questionable to those who think about it. Those who live only in the moment, in the present, for them their existence is very real. For the person who looks at it from a slightly wider vision, who says, it doesn't make sense, we seem to be going nowhere. So our life, a vague experiment. The soul, a flickering light in a strange, ignorant world. Yes, there is some kind of a consciousness that realizes that we are going nowhere. But it's just a small light. The earth, a brute, mechanic accident, a net of death in which by chance we live. Because life is so short. In a vast emptiness, we are like little dots in time. All we have learnt appears a doubtful guess. This is proved all the time, no? On the mental level, intellectual level, all the truths that were discussed are constantly being, revised. New things are coming, appearing. So you say, what I have learnt is just the start of a greater discovery. Just what we were talking about now, this book that we are reading. It is not a book, it is universe. And because my ability to understand is small, I read according to that vision, to that understanding. And if I can widen my vision, I find things that are there which I did not notice. And that is perhaps one reason why the present knowledge is always a doubtful guess. I'm not sure. I grow, my vision grows, and the same text becomes something that I never noticed before. So all we have learnt appears a doubtful guess. This is the whole experience of life, in every field. All our statements have to be constantly renewed and revised, because the person who is making the statement is hopefully changing. As I change, my vision changes. And my understanding at least should change. My certitudes should have to be wiped off. Earlier certitudes have to be wiped off. New things come into play. So the achievement done, a passage or a phase whose farther end is hidden from our sight. And that is why Sri Aurobindo describes the journey of poetry particularly, which he calls a journey of consciousness. It's a journey of discovery. It's also a journey of self-discovery. So he describes this as a spiritual excitement of a journey of self-discovery. And as I discover the world, I discover myself. And all the things I can now relate to, which I never found before. So that is why, at present, where does this journey end? I don't know. I'm in the journey, whose farther end is hidden from our sight. A chance happening or a fortuitous fate. It's a play of words, because what is fortuitous means chance, by chance. What is fate seems to be something that is fixed, decided. So, a fortuitous fate. Today, tomorrow maybe that fate can be changed if I can change myself, if I can change my consciousness. Out of the unknown, we move to the unknown. It's a wonderful line that sums up all that he has said. Where do we come from and why? We don't know. Therefore, we don't even try. For the most part, we just live in the moment. Ever surround our brief existence here grey shadows of unanswered questionings. These are the questions which are also not clearly finalized. I ask a question, and if I have changed my understanding or my vision, the question also changes. What I'm interested in today is not what I was interested in 10 years ago. What I decided was right last, even 2 years ago, is no longer that which I feel is the truth. So it's all the time something that is shifting, moving, reality and beliefs. One reason why Mother is constantly saying religion becomes something that is a hindrance if one sees it as the final answer to all your questions. There is no final answer. There is a continuous growth. We have to move into the eternal, and there's an eternal opening. So, grey shadows of unanswered questionings, the dark inconscious, signless mysteries. When you use the word mystery, it's not something we don't know only. The word mystery was associated with hidden knowledge, sacred spiritual knowledge. And the inconscient contains all knowledge. Everything grows out of the inconscient. All evolution of consciousness, all development even in the world of matter and of life and of mind begins with what seemed to be nothing. Starting was nothing, and yet everything has emerged out of that nothing. So is the nothing the same as everything? Is the inconscient another aspect of the superconscient? We don't know. Nothing is clear. The dark, inconscient, signless mysteries stand up unsolved behind fate's starting line. Fate is again this, that I am this, and this is what is going to be my end, and I put a final, you might say, answer, and that is what doesn't allow us to grow. An aspiration in the night's profound, seed of a perishing body and half-lit mind uplifts its lonely tongue of conscious fire towards an undying light forever lost. That is where the beginning of a possibility of evolution starts. There is a manifestation somewhere in the inconscient. There has to be an aspiration. Nothing is over. The present is just a certain expression of that which will be. And why is that coming out? The future is coming out of the present. There has to be an aspiration in the present. Something that is there in the universal manifestation, that whatever is insufficient. It has to lead to something else. So that is an aspiration in the profundity of night. He has used profound as a noun. In the depth of ignorance, in the depth of darkness, in the depth of inconscience, something is churning, something is moving. Just like out of the mud, there has to be a push, a drive that brings the seed out into the sunshine and make it into a plant. So an aspiration in the night's profound, which is this aspiration from which the perishing body and the half-lit mind come out of absolute night. So we are halfway, or we are maybe at the beginning of a world of continuous change. What is just part of a whole long manifestation or a story. It's maybe a part, the seed of a perishing body and a half-lit mind. That is not the whole truth. And that aspiration says, no, this can't be the full purpose of why we have been created, why the universe is created. It's not over. Seed of a perishing body and a half-lit mind. This aspiration climbs, and that is why evolution grows. Evolution is not change of form or manifestation of possibilities only. The new manifestations that come at every stage of evolution is the result of a consciousness, of something that is yearning from within, from below, of a perishing body and a half-lit mind uplifts its lonely tongue of conscious fire. It is this aspiration that is conscious. Out of the unconsciousness, slowly consciousness emerges. Evolution is really development of consciousness towards an undying light, from darkness to light. The whole journey of the human growth is always from darkness to light. Even if you read some of the absolutely simpler stories and fables, in some form or the other, you see everything is basically a movement from darkness to light. The light is maybe in the beginning considered as something small, so the victory of good over evil, finally. This is fundamental, that there is that light which is constant. The world of darkness is the world of change, because the awareness, the ignorance is still very, you might say, it's a stage, it's a preparation. And slowly we grow out of that stage. Only it hears this aspiration, only it hears soul echo of its call, the dim reply in man's unknowing heart. Something in the human nature, even the surface human nature, responds to this inner aspiration. That is why, in spite of all difficulties and all uglinesses and all the horrors that at present the world is seeming to go through, there is a faith, a belief that this cannot be the reason why the universe and man in the universe were created. There has to be a final explanation or a final realization of why we were made. Just like when we are halfway through a book, we cannot really understand the purpose of the book. It's only when we reach the end that we find out this is the end, is the reason why the book was begun. Always in every expression, the end precedes the beginning. From the beginning, I have something to say. The divine had something to do. And he has worked it out stage by stage. We stop halfway and say, this is the truth. This small creature, helpless, weak, you call man, who seems to rule the world, this can't be the reason why his field of expression, the world, was made. There must be something else, which we still don't know. But we have to wait till the end. Just like we have to wait till the end of the story and say, this is the reason why the writer of the book, if you call the divine, also is like a writer. He's working out a whole plan, a whole story. He had it in mind to manifest himself. When you write, it's you who are in your book. You manifest yourself. The divine is manifesting himself in his creation. The creation contains the creator. And that is also then something we have to be very careful about. When we speak or we do something, it shows what we are, who we are. Because it's a projection of our consciousness, or at present very often semi-consciousness or unconsciousness. And you say, this is who we are. It's always the inner consciousness that expresses itself in every aspect of the external behavior, external movement, be it the whole material universe or be it our own personal behavior, in everything. Because that light is the reason why the final fulfillment will be revealed in that light of truth. But at present it seems lost. We are plunged in darkness. Only it hears soul echo of its call. That is why we hear only as much as we can hear. We see only as much as we can see. So only it hears soul echo of its call, the dim reply in man's unknowing heart. Somewhere in the unconsciousness, there is still something in us. Unknowingly, we don't like death. We like eternity. We don't know why. We don't know what perfection means, but we love perfection. We don't like imperfection. We don't like error. There is somewhere a reply that it is for this perfection that we have come. But what is perfect? I have never seen perfection. I've never manifested the whole truth because I don't even know what the whole truth is. But unknowingly, it is towards that we are moving. The dim reply in man's unknowing heart. And meets, not understanding why it came, or for what reason is the suffering here, God's sanction to the paradox of life. So this is what, if we are here for manifesting the divine who is our origin, we should be an expression of our Creator. And man is very often the very opposite. He is incomplete, imperfect, darkened. There is still something that is dissatisfied with the way he is. I'm dissatisfied with myself. Means somewhere in me there is a need to become a perfect being. So it's a dim reply because I don't know what this absoluteness or perfection means. And what means not understanding why it came. Because this is our only instrument of knowledge, my mind. And my mind doesn't see the whole. The mind can't even see. It divides everything into little fragments and puts one part of the truth and the other side of the truth, and you say, if this is true, the opposite cannot be true. If the opposite of light is dark, so the dark cannot contain the light, whereas actually it is out of the darkness that light is emerging. And so we are trapped in this. This is the whole paradox. Paradox is a play of opposites. And yet it contains a greater and more complete truth. So not understanding why it came or for what reason is the suffering here. It's because we are not satisfied with the way we are that we suffer. A stone doesn't have a manifestation of consciousness, for instance. A stone doesn't suffer. It is a stone. It accepts to be a stone. Man suffers. Something in him doesn't like the way things are, the way he is. He's not happy. Joy is the reason for which manifestation was made. Joy is perfection. All is born from Ananda. It's a perfect harmony. It's a perfect manifestation. We don't even know what that means. It's not a satisfaction of desire that is joy. Joy is an absolute completeness. It's an absolute harmony. And so we don't understand why we have to pass through this. God's sanction to the paradox of life and the riddle of the immortal's birth in time. This is the paradox. What is expected to grow and evolve is that consciousness. What is consciousness? It is the divine. The divine grows. The divine is complete always. But slowly in this world of time and space, gradually that light grows. That light is the immortal. So it is the paradox that the complete, perfect consciousness of the divine has entered into a narrow field of darkness, of ignorance. Slowly it pushes its way forward. It expands the field of manifestation. Why is that? We don't know for a long time. We only know that finally we realize that the world of manifestation has to become an expression of that which made it. So there is the manifestation and of evolution is on the earth. It's in the earth field that this sense of growth, of gradual manifestation takes place. So this is where the Shakti that is at work in the world of matter, she is pushing, she is driving. He, the Supreme, is there. He knows all. He is all. But it is through her, through this conscious force. Consciousness has to be accompanied by force. So that is why it is the earth or the field of manifestation or the Shakti. This is the mother. It is her work. And so, as Mother has said about referring to herself and to Sri Aurobindo, she says, Lord, thou hast willed and I execute. The executing may take a long time because it meets with continuous resistance. Our unconsciousness is our resistance. It meets with that resistance, but only it hears soul echo of its call, the dim reply in man's unknowing heart. And for what reason is the suffering here? God's sanction to the paradox of life and the riddle of the immortal's birth in time. So you have the eternal and time. Time and space are the field of manifestation. The eternal, the infinite has entered into this field. But it is very slow. We have to take up all the possibilities, all the resistances that are hidden in the unconscious. They have to be taken up one by one. So, along a path of eons serpentine, in the coiled blackness of her nascent course, for a long time, she moves. It is energy. In the lower levels of manifestation, this is simply Prakriti. Prakriti means she who does, Kri is to do. So she pushes. She doesn't know there is energy, just like in our bodies. We cannot exist, we cannot move, we cannot express anything without energy. What is this energy for? We don't know. But we have it. That is the first source. So this is the nascent course. It's an unconscious course. But she is moving. The earth goddess toils across the sands of time. She's moving forward until that Prakriti becomes the Ishwari, the Mahashakti. It's the same thing. It has removed the veils of ignorance as she has moved. She has removed the veils of ignorance slowly. It takes a long time. And you see behind this darkness is the divine energy. So she is the goddess. She is the Mother Earth. It's not simply material nature. A being is in her whom she hopes to know. She feels there is a reason. She feels that the earth has to be something which gives man that sense of perfection. Otherwise, she is not happy. But where is that perfection? Who is that author of perfection? We don't know. But then why do we ask for something we don't know at all? Somewhere we know. Some part in us knows. There is a response. But the whole of our being does not know. And so there is a duality. There is something that resists and something that pushes forward. A being is in her whom she hopes to know. A word speaks to her heart. She cannot hear. Word is a projection of consciousness. It is a sound, but the sound is a projection of energy which is conscious. It's not just sound. When you utter words, you put an intention behind every word. There is a conscious intention. And that's another reason why you have to be careful about the choice of words. So a word speaks, and yet there is so much that remains trapped in sleep and ignorance. A fate compels, and that is the final end of the journey, to become an expression of that which has begun the whole story, expressing the divine intention. That is the fate. But at present she doesn't know. In her unconscious orbit through the void, this is the Earth Mother. In her unconscious orbit through the void, out of her mindless depths, she hopes to rise. And that is what is the first stage. From the world of matter, slowly, the understanding of why we are, manifestation of mind in the world of living matter. But mind is not really a very perfect guide. It accepts its limits. It says you can't do everything, this is not possible. And therefore, a perilous life again, a struggling joy. We want life. We want manifestation of perfection in the form of joy and harmony. We don't have it because we, as we identify ourselves as ourselves, we are still very incomplete. How can something weak and incomplete manifest the whole reality? So we have to realize slowly I have to become that. I have to change. I have to evolve. A thought that a thought that can conceive but hardly knows arises slowly in her and creates the idea, the speech that labels more than it lights. So out of the world of life, there comes out the world of mind. He describes it so beautifully. What is the mental knowledge? The speech that labels more than it lights. Just a kind of a surface knowledge. So this is this is that. We don't know what is the purpose behind all these things. A trembling gladness that is less than bliss invades from all this beauty that must die. This is why we are so keen to stay in this world, where all possibilities of growth are there, and yet we are not capable of changing ourselves into so easily into that consciousness, and therefore, in the end, we seem to always fail. I don't know the origin of my existence. I don't know the divine. And because I live in that ignorance, I finally fail. So, this is the whole story of earthly life. Alarmed by the sorrow dragging at her feet, and conscious of the high things not yet won, ever she nurses in her sleepless breast an inward urge that takes from her rest and peace. That is really why we are not satisfied with being just the way we are, which is ignorant and incomplete. We are never satisfied with that. This inward urge, which the more we become conscious, the more we realize our incompleteness, that we have to move towards other inner levels. And this is what we have to nourish. Ignorant and weary and invincible, she seeks through the soul's war and quivering pain, because we are at war with ourselves. One part in us asks, aspires for the divine, the rest accepts the incompleteness and imperfection. So there is a constant battle. Life is a battle, always. The pure perfection her marred nature needs, a breath of Godhead on her stone and Maya. That is what she asks for. That expression of the divine, that divinity, in the world of what had been recognized in the beginning as unconsciousness. The unconsciousness asks for perfection. Ever she asks for this. And that is why there is this continuous battle on earth. Man is the being who suffers. He suffers psychologically, he suffers physically. But if he did not suffer, he would either be a god or he would be a stone. Man is in between. And so there is this inner struggle without which there can be no real growth. We don't realize perhaps how much a little seed has to struggle to push that little plant out of itself. We don't realize how much we have to make, how much effort we have to make to grow into what we can be, because the past is always pulling us back. Okay, stop there.
Okay, one more thing I'll ask. You're ignorant and weary and invincible.
Yeah, that is earth, that is man. She is ignorant. Earth is ignorant, it's a field of ignorance. And yet she will not give up. Both the forces are there.